What is good, you guys? It's Jacob Elias, and I'm back again with another video. How are we all doing today? So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how I made this Gerald sculpture. This is honestly something I wanted to do for a very long time because, well, Gerald is awesome. Anyways, if you hear anything in the background, it's most likely my heater, and I do apologize. One of these days, I will get a professional mic setup. But for the meantime, we're just going to work with this. Also, this may or may not be me shooting my shot at the Nickelodeon's artist program, but either way, let's get right into it. So I started by pulling this Gerald picture off the internet, obviously, and used it as my reference image. I wanted to get the sculpture as close as possible to the actual cartoon, so I started by using cubes to build the foundation. So funny enough, I actually forgot to join all the cubes to start sculpting Gerald properly, so the mesh started to tear apart at some points. But I was wondering what I did wrong, and I didn't notice it until later on in the sculpting journey. Sculpting journey? Yeah, anyways. I think this is actually the first time I ever showed you how an actual sculpt process looks like for me, and it's because I didn't want to hold back on you guys. We all make mistakes, and I think it's important to highlight those as well as the end results too. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't feeling the sculpt at first, but there was a video from one of my favorite 3D artists, Brand Sculpts, and what he said is that it's normal to feel that way, because honestly, how many of us actually like how a picture or a painting first turns out? Probably none of us, but it's the journey that's most important. I also have this thing with making black hair in Blender using the particle system that I wanted to try out with Gerald. I'm not too crazy about the whole using spheres and joining them together to indicate black hair, and I'm just grateful that I found something that works for me and mimics black hair in the best way I know how to. But I had to use the vertex groups to make his high top because the way hair grows in Blender is a little tricky, and I tried to use the particle edit to sculpt his high top, and at first, I won't lie, I did not do my boy justice. So when in doubt, guys, if you don't have a specific hex code for black skin, something that you could do is drag the mouse down to the orange section of the color wheel, then darken it until you get that shade of brown that you're looking for. Yo, nah, this part was actually so embarrassing. This is why I wish I paid more attention in science class, y'all, because why did I think the cornea was the pupil? I'm not even going to edit that part out. I said what I said and I wrote what I wrote. We move on. But later down the line, I want to learn how to UV wrap so I can make eyes look more realistic. So at this point, I was pretty satisfied with how the head was looking, so I moved on to the neck. Now, similar to me, my boy Gerald got a big head, so the fact that his neck supports his head is honestly just beyond me. But I don't judge, I just create. So my laptop started slowing down because of the amount of particles and add-ons I was throwing into it, so I hid the head later down the line to focus on the body. I didn't bother adding shoulders or anything like that because my boy got them spaghetti noodle arms, so I joined some stretched out cubes to the torso, then remeshed it and smoothed it out using the grab tool. So I hear a lot of 3D artists talking about how you can use this mask tool to create clothing layers on top of the mesh, but what I did instead was duplicate the torso and added okay, let me try that again, and added a solidify modifier on top of it. So I downloaded a fabric cloth material and imported it into Blender because I wanted to give Gerald some cool threads, but they are a little hard to see, so I began UV wrapping it to see if it would be a little more evident. I don't think we were too successful in this, guys, but if you have any tips as to how I can do this better, please let me know in the comment section down below. Now, the sneakers weren't too difficult. I just grabbed a cube and loop cut it, extended the front of the sneaker and hit it with a subdivision surface modifier, then colored it in. Gerald doesn't have any laces on his joints, so I didn't go through adding them. Now I heard about this thing called Rigify, which I will definitely look into for like later future sculpts and stuff like that, but I simply just added some armature and placed it appropriately onto the mesh. I knew what pose I wanted to give him, so I didn't need to add a whole bunch of bones, but it's not bad to be too careful, you know? Yeah, so my laptop did crash halfway through all of this, but I downloaded the basketball on Sketchfab and joined the armature to the mesh to give him this dribbling pose. I created the backdrop by using a plain mesh and beveling the corners to smooth it all out, and then added an orange color because, well, why not? I dropped in some lights on the corners of the backdrop and on him because I wanted to capture all of his features, and then I set up the camera and locked it into place until I found a space I was comfortable with rendering him in, and boom, here is the final product. Now guys, if you can, please feel free to share this video with your friends if you found this video to be helpful or just enjoyed it. Also, I'll be making a shorter version of this video on my TikTok and Instagram once I reactivate it down the line. But if you really want to show your support, hit that subscribe button and leave some feedback on the video and what you'd like to see me make next. Take care, guys, and